All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. I'd also like to give double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do root well. And I would like to say peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, to the hopeful elect in 1/3, and Adawan Ratazah. This lesson will be edifying as well as exhorting to the sincere sheep of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. And Tawada Abanawa Yahweh Bashem Yahshai Bashem Rakakwadash for giving me the inspiration to do this lesson. And not really sure what I'm going to title it. I have a couple things that I want to title it, but for edification's sake, I'll allow the Spirit to guide me. But pretty much I just want to go into Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, and as we're also hastening the return of Yahweh Shai. All right, as it says in 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, we're hastening a new heaven and new earth. People don't realize, even though they have a conception of there's a time and place for everything, but they fully don't understand that there is even a time and place for rulership, for the kingdom, for wickedness, and also for righteousness, and that's what we're yearning for, is new beginnings. As the scriptures say, Esau is the end of the world, an end of an age, and we as Jacob are the beginning that followeth, and that's what we're waiting on. That's what we're hastening in, and we're desperately praying, and constantly giving Yahweh Bashem Shai no rest, because better is the end of a thing than the beginning. So we're going to start right off of this. Is Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So having spiritual maturity, you understand now in this walk, as much as Esau vexes you, as much as the curses upon our nation and our people, frustrate you, that there's a time limit on that. Okay, like it says in the book of Job, the 4th chapter, he has bounds that he cannot pass. And right now the creature is carrying themselves, as if they have no owner, they have no collar. All right. And soon that righteous order is going to bring everything back into its rightful place, the way it was created to be. OK, and this is why Babylon is upside down. All right. Well, I'll say this. Excuse me. Let me qualify my statement. Babylon has, through prophecy, caused the world to be upside down. So prophecy is going to bring it right side up. If according to prophecy, it went one way. Well, according to prophecy, it's going to go another. And, that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on for the righteous order of life and creation to go right side up. All right. And this is why everything is out of chaos. Men simping over women, women ruling over men. Everything's just out of order. I mean, I could go all day with the out of order and confusion that we have to put up with. But the spiritual peace is knowing that this is not forever. Okay, that's why me personally, what I wanted to title it is, better is the end of a, put a cuss word in there, better is the end of a fucking thing. That's how you feel, man. Better is the end of this. But, I'll let the Spirit guide me for the title. But that's the spirit we feel. We're thinking about the end rather than the beginning, which is beautiful, though. The end is our beginning. All right. So it says a time to be born, which you can look at this spiritually as well. Let me turn this off. Okay. You can look at this spiritually like there was a time for us to be born again. OK, we were out here walking as Gentiles, living in, excess, lasciviousness. You know what the scriptures say. You know what it's like being a Gentile. You remember that wicked ass, base ass lifestyle and mindset. I know I do, and I hate it. I despise it. And this is why really in this walk, you're fighting to not go back to that. Okay, that's why you get tempted and things of that nature. But even in the essence of time to be born, well, the scriptures also said if his children be multiplied, it is for the sword. You got people having children right now, and everyone's in their own self-indulged world and not really seeing the world around them, and we are the world, as it says, we are the world, and we are. Okay, the nation of Israel is a world, and without the nation of Israel, these people wouldn't even exist, and let this pass. I'm on break real quick, and that's another thing too, is the pride of life. These people, how they act, They act as if the world was created for them. Well, I'll say this. Yeah, the world was created for you to serve us. All right. Because it says in 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, the world be made for our sake. Then why did the heathen rule over us? Well, it's just because it's the time right now. But that time is going to change, man. All right. And we're earnestly expecting the unexpected, unlike the people around us. And it says a time to be born and a time to die. Okay. And we've given up our mere meaningless life once learning this truth and have now devoted it completely to Yahweh Bashem El Shai. That's thought, that's action, that's diet, that's everything. Okay, that's everything. All right, the truth doesn't get put on the back burner. Okay, like the Wadi Al Bashem El Shai, of course, but like right now I'm on break, but I'm doing a lesson. I'm on lunch. I'm hungry. My flesh is hungry. I got lunch waiting, but this comes first. Man shall not live by bread alone, And we're in a time period where you don't know when your last lesson will be. You don't know when the last camp will be. You don't know when the last Monday will be, Friday will be. This is the time we're in, man. We're in a major time of a shift, and everyone around us is in this this possessed haze of gross darkness. And this is why the scriptures say it's going to come as a thief in the night. All right. So it says a time to be born and a time to die, which is literal too. All right. These people don't expect, that they're going to perish soon or mass death soon. The slain of the Lord shall be many. Okay, people are not expecting that, just like in the days of Noah. Now, I always like to bring this up, but the biblical scholars stated, which they have different various opinions, but one of them that stuck out the most to me is they said that during the time of Noah, there was up to 4.5 billion people, and only 8 souls, I believe, as it's worded, were delivered, man. That's a very heavy thing, man. That's serious. And everyone with folly set in great dignity, everyone's got a fucking folly, want to play around spirit on them. Well, the Lord ain't playing around. And prophecy is going to show you that the Lord ain't nothing to play with, man. Okay? And it says a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which was planted, a time to kill and a time to heal. Okay? So we're being healed by what? The gospel. We're being healed by the good news. All right? We've been getting killed long enough. It says we die all the day long. All right, and that's a normal thing. It's normal for this world to see Jake get put down. It's normal for them to see Jake get arrested. It's normal for them to see Jake get stabbed, beat, hot grease thrown on him. I think I said arrested, but I'll say it again. It's normal. It's fucking normal for them to see us in curses, man. That shit offends me, but I say it in a spiritual manner, not in an overthrowing, crash out spirit, but indignation, man. That fucking pisses me off, knowing that these people can run up and down, because they're not in the curses, but they know what the fuck be going on to us, and they got no problem with that shit, man. Okay, but then when something happens to them, the whole fucking world's supposed to stop, But that's gonna change. Don't worry. Don't worry, a change gonna come. Sam Cooke said it, right? A Time to Kill, which was a great movie with Samuel Jackson. A time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up. So we're in the time of breaking down scripture, starting with our elders and apostles who we've learned from through the Holy Spirit, and a time to build up the brothers, the sisters. It's a process. It's a building process that's been taking place, but there's also a prophecy where you're gonna have a famine of hearing what is building you up. You're gonna have a famine of hearing what's being broken down, and that's going to be a major shakeup, because that's going to be the time where people are going to want the answers. That's where it's going to be monumental, okay, when they're not going to be able to get the answers of what's happening round about them. That's why the scriptures also say there'll be a crying for wine in the streets, because they want to know what's going on. What should I do? What is the MOTB? Who is that? Are aliens real? These are things that are going to be crossing these people's minds that are just average, everyday citizens and individuals. And I like to call them worker bees, because before, I used to get a little annoyed or vexed how certain customers were when they were real strict on certain things. How they be acting. You ask for an extra sauce packet, just saying hypothetically, and they don't want to give you one. But then the Spirit told me, it said, hey, they're being a good worker. They're actually listening to policy and protocol. So imagine when we're in rulership, they ain't gonna let shit slide for their people. They're gonna be under strict orders, man. All right, verse 4, a time to weep, which we've been weeping. We're sighing and crying, but that sighing and crying also puts us in the position to have a mark exempt from judgment that's coming, and that's what we're crying about, man. And if you got a fucking problem with us crying about wickedness, false prophets and false shepherds, you ain't in the right spirit, man, okay? You ain't in the right spirit. And it don't mean just crying like our tear ducts are dried out. No, we're crying out. We're crying out to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You know, every day, I to the best of my ability, outside of praying, I try to put up curses, you know, of Babylon, 2/3, Edom, heathen. You know, we're crying out. We're sighing and crying, man. And soon our cry is going to turn to joy. All right? Rejoice over her, because the Most High has destroyed her. As it says in Revelations 18, it says a time to weep and a time to laugh. We're getting ready to laugh. Proverbs 1, it says we're going to laugh at their calamity. A time to mourn and a time to dance. So we're dancing. This should be getting you dancing. This should be getting you moving. It says, how should I liken this generation? It is unto them, we've piped unto you and you have not danced. You know, we've mourned unto you and you have not lamented. See how these prophets, see how these precepts bring everything together? It says a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. So it's going to come a point where, you know, that door is going to be shut. Okay. And just because you're an Israelite don't mean that you're going to be embraced. Okay. Because the Spirit is going to warn us about individuals too. Okay. Because right now we're embracing. You know, hey, Shalom, someone comments on the video. There's going to come a time where these fucking scoffers are going to be completely ignored, and then they're going to have to deal with the stripes that have been prepared for their foolish ass, man. Okay, so there's a time coming where we ain't going to be so embraceful. You're just going to get timed out. You know, what Jake saying in the West, you're going to get marked out. You know, you're going to get timed out. All right, you're going to be hid from the channel. You're going to be hid from the camp. You're going to be hid from the comment board, and you're going to have to deal with it, man. You're going to have to sow what you've been reaping. All right, and it says, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. So soon we're going to be keeping silent. The scriptures say, I believe in Ezekiel 3, the tongue shall cleave to the roof of our mouth. Going back to a time to not embrace. So we're going to be silent and not embrace you, man. Okay. It's a heavy time that we're coming into. And it says, and a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Well, guess what, man? You're going to have to deal with war coming for peace ultimately to be brought back on the earth. And that peace and harmony will take place when the children of Israel, starting with the elect, which is the house of David, are rightfully brought back to the promised land that was given to us, given to our forefathers. And that's what we're waiting on, man. Okay, so there's a time coming where, people are going to be even offended at Yahweh Shai. You know, Yahweh Shai said, blessed are they, they're not offended in me. You know, I'm just walking, happen to see a coworker. So let me just keep going. I'm about to wrap this up though, man. You know, and I just for you brothers out there who the Lord's dealing with, you know, the GMS brothers. I mean, I'm a young brother myself, but for the brothers in Great Millstone and the affiliates, man, one thing I say to you brothers, you know, when you got a moment, just hit record, man. Okay, just hit record, because this is glory. You know, this is being sent up to the heavens. Things are happening, man. Okay, and when that time of war comes, there ain't gonna be no need for us to prophesize about war, because prophecy will be fulfilled, man. All right, so you got to think about those things. So, you know, time to hate is gonna be very heavy, because Jake is the most easiest nation to hate. Okay, I'm not saying we hate it, ourselves, but with these curses, hey man, when something goes wrong, the first people they gon' target is Jake, man. So it's about to get real hateful. It's about to get real warlike out here. But we know that because that's for prophecy's sake. Okay, so we've been waiting on this, man. All right, there's a time and season for everything. Okay, there's a time and season for everything, and I'll just say it real quick because it crossed my mind. Even the satanic battle. Luke, the 4th chapter, says that Satan left Yahweh Shai for a season. And then this is why it says in Psalms 1:1, blessed is he that standeth not with the ungodly. And then it says, he shall be like a tree by water. Well, you know, that it takes, a few seasons to grow up to that strong tree. All right, so there's a season for everything. So we're in a season of growth. All right, we're in the season of being built up, but we're being built up for what's about to be prepared. So these people ain't getting ready. These people ain't ready. I put it that way. They ain't ready. Even if they was trying to get ready, they ain't ready. Okay, and the Lord is about to bring a magnitude of judgment, and you're going to start seeing people act in a way and manner you've never seen before. This is why we're going to laugh at their calamity, because they act all cool, calm, and collective now, but watch when their world gets rattled. Watch when their world shakes up. It's going to be a whole different creature and a reaction. All right, so got to go back to the plantation. I pray that this lesson was edifying, encouraging, exhorting. And I just want to say, call halal, Abba Nawa Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rchakudash. Double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do well. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect. With that being said, shalom.